Okay, good morning, guys. Happy Sunday morning. Let's get in here and see. How this boat, how this hull turned out. Yeah, so I wanted to do a video this morning. And let's see where we're at so far with this build. For those of you who are interested, and a very special thanks to those of you who have reached out to me, who have complimented me, and basically given me some gold nuggets on how to build. Since this is my first do-it-yourself build of my skiff. It's not a kayak. Let's call it what it is. It's a skiff. Okay, so I'm going around. This is like a kid on Christmas. I haven't even been in here yet. I just came from the house and I wanted to come over here and take a look. Yesterday I had a old person moment where I thought I did not kick off the epoxy because or the resin because I had 4 tubs of it mixed up, and the last batch I mixed up like 12 ounces, way too much, and I thought, oh my gosh, I totally messed it up because when I had brought it out, I had laid up a couple of extra panels, and I thought that it wasn't drying very well, and I thought I just screwed this up. So far, it's pretty dry, and it's a little bit tacky. Not even a lot tacky. It's like very little tacky. So this is 1.5 ounce matte CSM, and then I backed it up with 6 ounces of fiberglass cloth, and it is solid. Pretty solid. There's a few air bubbles. I'm not gonna put you on here. This is not a perfect job. I had a folding issue. I actually ran out of material here, and I scrambled to get a small section that in the sunlight I'm sure would just look like absolute crap, but we're gonna sand it and fair it, and you can tell it's a little lumpy in some places. I knew I wasn't gonna do very good on this part because to start with, first of all, it's pretty easy to lay up cross-strand mat, in my opinion, because it conforms to all the bumps or all the turns, all the bends, a whole lot easier. And when you're working with just a little bit of material, 24 ounces at a time, that's not bad. But when you start getting into these gigantic areas that you have to laminate, you get a little bit, you start laying it up, and then you get a little bit overcome with anxiety that you're not gonna cover all the spaces before it dries on you. But honestly, I didn't have that problem. What I had the problem with was not having enough material to go over all the spots, and stuff like this, I got some doggone air pockets in here, which is fine. It's like, it's not permanent. I'm gonna grind it out. I'll have to hit it with the grinder and then put some patches of CSM on it. Again, it's not gonna, I knew it wasn't gonna be perfect, but it's good enough for me. It's good enough for, I'm not selling it to somebody, so I don't have to worry about whether or not my work's gonna fail or not. And honestly, I have, I actually did a couple of years ago, I did a couple of pontoons on the outside of my sailing kayak. I have a sailing kayak that sails almost 9 knots. It's actually an ocean kayak that I built a couple of amas and akas for. And that stuff has not delaminated whatsoever. And I used the same material. So now, I'm not worried about this deteriorating. I mean, while I'm alive, this is pretty much will be around. I'm not worried about it deteriorating. It's completely encapsulated. There's just what it boils down to is that when you don't get a perfect job or close to perfect, you're gonna wind up doing a whole lot of sanding. And when you have a whole lot of sanding work ahead of you, you have a whole lot fishing work, which I want to be on the water. I don't want to be in the shop. And I'm actually supposed to be fishing today in my very first, well, not my very first, but my first kayak tournament of the year. I'm supposed to be fishing today, which is obviously not going to be happening because the lake is frozen. But what do you think of this? I still have yet to install these. I know it's crooked. Look at that. How's that for some work for you? It's the wood that's warped, and I'll probably have to glue it and straighten it out when I glue it. But I wanted to put in these skegs. I know some of you are like, come on, why am I even watching this? This is nonsense. But it's not nonsense. It's actually a really cool build. Wait till you see the other side of this thing. Is like, when you see this thing fish, I think you'll be like, oh shit, that looks pretty cool. I mean, look at that. Look at that cockpit area. I know it's upside down, but this is where you sit right here. You sit right here. This thing is built like a brick, you know what. She's solid. I had some extra, I was telling you about the extra resin that I had that I screwed up on. I have not wasted 1 ounce of resin, but yesterday I mixed up like 12 ounces, way too much. And so I didn't laminate it, but I soaked it into, this is actually the cockpit floor. I just saturated it so that the other side's gonna get CSM matte. I'm gonna go back to working with the material that I like. I don't like working with the 6 ounce material. That's what this is right here. That's what's overhanging. It was not as limber as I thought it was going to be. It was actually, you know, it's material that you can put on like a surfboard or a small sailboat, but it gave me all this imperfective, if that's a word. Yeah, it just gave me some bullshit, which I didn't have before when I was using the CSM. So anyway, I mean, if I want to, I've already ordered another roll of 1 ounce CSM. That's gonna, I might grind it up and I might put it on over top of this, but this is all wavy now, and so the entire boat's gonna have to be faired, which sucks because that's a whole lot of sanding. It's all right, whatever. But what do you think about these? I have this so that the boat can track. I also have these. These are also sanded and ready to go. And what they were going to do is they were also going to be like skegs. I would install them with CSM. I wanted to get the boat entirely saturated with resin and with fiberglass. So that would be Maybe they're not in the right spot yet, but that's basically what I was thinking. For one, for stability. So this boat on the very bottom is 40 inches across. It's 47 inches across the top of the gunwales when I flip it over. So the boat's going to be heavy, and I don't know exactly is it going to be heavy where it's going to be tippy? We're going to find that out. I mean, as soon as the water defrosts, we're going to plop that in so I can draw a water line and see how things are shaping up. I'm going to put some sandbags in to represent the outboard, sandbags in. I'm going to put some of my batteries in to represent, you know, what I am going for. So, again, this video is essentially just to bring you guys up to speed on what I'm doing, if you even care. If you're following along, a couple of you following along, that's enough for me. I'm not looking to please the whole world. I think it'll be somewhat stable. Obviously, it looks like a piece of shit from this angle. However, we've got a long ways to go still. I'm very grateful that I got the whole bottom encapsulated in glass. That's for me, that's huge, because we got mild temperatures out. It's still like 20, and I didn't want to be in this small space when it was starting to get to 60 and 70 degrees out here, because it's like a greenhouse effect in here. If it's 50 outside, it's 75 in here, and I don't want to start dealing with very high curing rates. So far, all the material has been curing perfectly. Working times have been very good. Let's see, what else? This came out okay. I'm very pleased with the bow. I still have a towing eye that I have to fix in there at some point. Also, I will let you know, this was pretty straight piece of wood before it came into this little greenhouse. And then it just started doing that. Like, I guess I left it in the sun. I might have to put a brick on it. I have some bricks outside that, you know, put a couple of bricks on it. Saturate it in, that's what I'll do. I'll saturate it today in some resin, and then put some bricks over top of it, and hopefully that'll bring it back to straight. Little stupid thing there, but so now, oh yeah, we're let me know what you think about these, because I think that if I install these tipsy-turvy here, you know, you stand to one side of the boat, what these will do will give it a little bit of stability, possibly a little rigidity, but when you have water being shed from the keel at high speeds, these would slow you down. This is not going to be a high-speed boat, by the way, and I honestly don't know if I'll put a gas outboard on the back, or if I will use the idea was to put an electric motor on it. We were going to use a Newport. It's like a 6 horsepower equivalent. How heavy is the boat? You know what? I can lift the back end with one hand. I'm guessing, let's do this here. That's why I picked up a marker before, because I wanted to give you a little bird's eye view of this here. So far, I have got 4 ounces of, let's see, I don't know if you can see that. I've got 4 ounces of structural putty. okay, put in the boat. We've got 9 pounds per gallon is what that structural putty weighs. Basically, the resin is vinyl ester resin's about 8 and change, almost 9 pounds per gallon. Let's call it 9 pounds per gallon. Okay, so we've got roughly 81 pounds so far of resin in the boat, and we've got 36 pounds of putty. The boat was actually 100 pounds when we left the pattern shop. Okay, so when we left the pattern shop, we had 100 pounds of wood when we brought it over here on the trailer. 36 pounds of putty, 81 pounds of resin. Probably about, let's call it, I think this is high, but we'll call it 15 pounds of, 15 pounds of material, flat out fiberglass material. So we've got 11, 12, 4, 12, 13, carry the one. Estimated at 232 pounds, 240 pounds, let's call it, because I had added this transom. I have a 3/4 in marine ply, and I've got like 5 layers of glass, so it's almost like 1.25 inches thick. I was going to use Cusa board on the transom here, but I didn't want to wait for it. I didn't want to pay for it, and I had this, so I was kind of like using up what I had. And so I used marine ply. But let's just call it 240 pounds. 240 pounds so far. And we're going to use 4 people this time to flip this sucker over, because I am not going to give myself a hernia over this. But anyhow, this is what we have so far. Lots of sanding, and I really want to get the bottom done. I want to get it painted with gel coat. I want to install these skegs over the next week, and then I would like to flip it over by next weekend. So thank you all for hanging out with me for a little bit. I hope you enjoy your Sunday, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.